Okay, this class will be the last class of basic mathematics. So whatever is required for your physics, that is for your 11th and 12th standard. Okay, now this class, it will be slightly longer. It will be around somewhere in between 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, so please bear with me. Okay, and we'll try to complete this basic mathematics today itself. Okay, fine. Okay, let us start this class with the next topic, standard graphs and their equations. Okay, so you are expected to remember these equations and see pictorial memory, it will be easy for us to remember, right? Okay, now I have this software which I keep using all the time. Fine. Now what I want you to do is, I just want you to sketch the graph in your notes and just try to write the form. Here I have taken examples. Okay, for example, see the first one, I have taken y is equal to 2x plus 3. Right, now how it looks, for example, this is your x-axis and y-axis. Okay, so y is equal to 2x plus 3. Now how to understand means, it's easy. When x is equal to 0 comma y will be equal to 3. Correct. So when x is equal to 0, y will be equal to 3. So you are getting 0 comma 3, which is this point, is it not? Fine. Now as you know how to plot straight lines, right? When x is equal to 1, okay, when x is equal to 1, y will be equal to 2 into 1 plus 3, 5, like that. Okay, so when you will keep getting a set of points, right? So the graph what we get, it is the graph, it is actually for a straight line. Now what is the form? Y is equal to mx plus c. Okay, y is equal to mx plus c. You know, m will call it as the slope of the straight line. Okay, slope of the line, and it is also tan of the angle made by that line with respect to positive x-axis. Okay, so just write this equation. Okay, so it is of the form. Okay, so equation is of the form, you can say y is equal to mx plus c. Okay, so here m is positive, and what is the c here? C is nothing but this point. We'll call it as the y-intercept, right? So y-intercept is positive, so that is how we'll get this. Okay, and if you look at the second graph, see, I have taken y is equal to 3x minus 4. Okay, see, here is your y-intercept, right? See, the y-intercept is at minus 4. Okay, so you can write that. I hope you got the idea and by now. So second one, you can say y is equal to mx minus c. Okay, so the graph, it looks like this, x, y, then you can even write minus x and minus y. Okay, so the graph, this equation, okay, so this yellow line, it is telling you that it's of the form y is equal to mx minus c. Okay, y is equal to mx minus c. Okay, now the third one, you have y is equal to 2x. Now it is just like y is equal to mx, right? Now what is the c y-intercept here? Y-intercept y-intercept is c, is it not? So y is equal to mx plus 0 will write, correct? So y-intercept is actually 0, so you will be getting a straight line passing through origin. Now this is important. Okay, you'll be getting a straight line which is passing through origin. So y is equal to mx, that is the equation. And important here, the straight line passes through origin. Okay, the straight line passes through origin, you can say. Okay, so here, as you know, O is the origin, let us say. Okay, fine. Now let us look at the fourth one. Yeah, fourth one, it is y is equal to minus 2x plus 4. Okay, so here what you can notice is the angle made by the line with the positive x-axis. Okay, the angle made by the line with the positive x-axis, it turns out to be negative, so therefore the slope is actually negative. You can see that there, right? Minus 2x, correct? So you can write it down here. So you can say y is equal to minus mx plus c. Okay, minus mx plus c. All right, so in that case, now what will happen if c is negative? We'll try to find out, it's easy. Okay, so x, y, and this is 0. Okay, and this is the line what you are getting, right? So y-intercept is positive. Okay, if the same line had come down, like this, then y-intercept would have been negative. Okay, I hope you got the idea. Fine, so this here, y is equal to minus mx plus c. Okay, this means negative slope. Okay, minus m means negative slope. Okay, so this is the form standard form of the equation, and this is how the graph looks. Okay, so please write side by side. Wherever it is necessary, pause the video and draw the graph. Okay, fine. So if you have a graph paper, you can even try to draw the graph neatly. Okay, if you have a graph paper, it will be easy to put some values, like say like I have taken here. You can take m is minus 2. Okay, then if x is equal to 1, what will be y? If x is equal to 2, what will be y? So just plot some 3 or 4 points. You can draw a neat straight line. Fine, so it is up to you. Now the next one, you are all familiar with this. Y is equal to x square. Okay, so this will call it as the equation of a parabola, right? In your 10th standard also you have studied. So when you have this equation, x square plus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0, you will get x as 2, you will get 2 values for x, right? Now those are called as the zeros of the parabola, correct? Fine, so I hope you know that. Fine. Now this y is equal to x square, it looks something like this. So this is x minus x, now this is y. You can write minus y also. Now y is equal to x square, it is a parabolic function, it looks like this. Okay, so y is equal to x square. So this type of curve, okay, we have a name, we'll call it as the parabola. Okay, we'll call it as the parabola, P-A-R-A-B-O-L-A. Okay, parabola will say. Okay, fine. The next one, we can take y is equal to minus x square. Okay, if you take y is equal to minus x square, you'll be getting it so that you'll be getting the curve so that it is a mirror image, okay, about the x-axis. Okay, so you'll be getting a mirror image about the x-axis. So this is how it looks. Now sixth one, y is equal to minus x square. So this is how it get. So x minus x, and this is y minus y. This is the origin, and you'll be getting the curve this way. Okay, you'll be getting the curve this way. Fine. So the equation, it happens to be y is equal to minus of x square. See, same x square, but you just give a minus sign there. Okay, so try to plot, it will be easy. Once you plot, you will get clarity. Okay, right. Now the seventh one. Okay, so seventh one, let us look into that. So yeah, now here you have x is equal to ky square. Okay, see, I have a pointer here, I can vary k here. Okay, so when k is positive, that is x is equal to ky square. Okay, so you are getting a parabola. You can see that it is opening towards the parabola is opening towards the x-axis, positive x-axis. Okay, so you can draw that here, x is equal to ky square. Okay, so this is how the parabola looks. Just a rough sketch would do. Fine. It will open up towards the positive x-axis. Now if x is equal to minus ky square, okay, if x is equal to minus ky square, okay, then it would open up towards the negative x-axis. Okay, fine. So it would open up this way. So yeah, the equation here is kx is equal to ky square. Now here it is x is equal to minus of ky square in this case. Okay, right. Now let's look into the next one, ninth one. Yeah, so the ninth one we have, yeah, this is important, equation of a circle. Okay, this represents equation of a circle. Okay, so equation of a circle, it would be of the form, equation of a circle is of the form x square plus y square is equal to r square. R here, it tells you that it is the radius. Okay, now how can you say that this is the equation of the circle? Means first let us choose some radius. Okay, choose a radius. For example, I have chosen 10 centimeter here. You can do this if you have a graph paper. Fine. Now choose some value for x. Okay, choose x, find out y. Okay, choose x and find y. Now plot that. Okay, now choose values of x, find the value for y, plot that. Okay, so you can plot as many points as you want, and if you keep connecting them, so you'll end up getting a neat circle. Okay, so this is the equation of a circle. This is important. x square plus y square is equal to r square. You can clearly see here. I have taken x square plus y square is equal to 100. Right? 100 you can also write it as 10 square. See what is the radius now? You can clearly see that the radius is 10 units. Is it not? Fine. So this is the equation of a circle. Okay. Now next comes something called as the rectangular hyperbola, I will say. Okay. So 10th one, if you have a equation of the form xy is equal to constant, product of x and y is equal to constant. Let us take it as k. Okay. So this k can be anything. So k is a constant. It can be 1, 2, 10, anything. Right? Fine. Now how the graph looks. Okay. So here you can, for circle you can write this way. X, y, minus x, minus y. Okay. If you are a bio CS student, okay, so these equations, whatever we are doing, it is sufficient. Now this circle, this equation, it actually represents a circle whose center is origin. Okay, whose center is origin. Now what if the center is not origin? Then you will be learning it in your mathematics. I'm not going into the details here. So you can draw a circle considering the center, considering its center to be the origin. Okay, origin. Oh, right. So for circle you can just draw this graph. Okay, draw this rough sketch. Here r is your radius. Okay, you can mark r. The same r, it must be written here. Okay, fine. Yeah. Now coming back to this, xy is equal to constant. We'll call it as the rectangular hyperbola. Fine. So it is known by the name rectangular hyperbola. Fine. Now what is hyperbola? We'll see in a bit. Fine. Now xy is equal to constant. The graph, it looks like this. Here I have taken xy is equal to 55. Now understanding this is easy. Now let us go to the point 5, 11. See, this is the point 5, 11. Correct? See, x is 5, y is 11. Right? So x is 5, y is 11. So 5 into 11, we are getting 55. Now you can come to 11, 5 also. See, here at 11, 5 now. Okay, so 11 into 5. So let us 55. Now you can come here also. Right? You can come in the region. What is that? First, second, third quadrant. Okay, even at the third quadrant you have the points like this. So minus 11 comma minus 5. Okay, minus 11 comma minus 5. So there also you are seeing the product, right? Minus into minus is plus, right? So you are getting 55. Okay, so the pattern, the graph, it looks something like this. Now why we need to learn all this, you will come to know, because there are many cases, okay, many chapters in which you will be getting the pattern like this. Okay, fine. So you will get this way and you will get like this. Okay, so this represents both of them. Okay, so both of them together, you can say it represents the equation of a rectangular hyperbola. Okay, so what is simple hyperbola, normal hyperbola? I'll tell you. Okay, so we'll see it in a bit. Okay, right now. Yeah, the next one we have here is ellipse. Okay, so I hope you know what is an ellipse, right? Fine. So this is an ellipse. I have pointers here. I have kept pointers for A and B. That is, I can vary. See, by sliding the value of B and by sliding the value of A, I can change the ellipse. Okay, I can change the shape of the ellipse. Okay, right. Now the equation of the ellipse. 10th one, right? Okay, 11th one. The equation of the ellipse. Equation of ellipse, it is given by x square by a square plus y square divided by b square is equal to 1. Okay. Now what does it tell you? It is also an ellipse whose center, okay, whose center, or you can say the geometric center, happens to be the origin. Okay. So this is how the ellipse looks. This is just a rough sketch. Okay, now this is how it looks. Fine. Now A, right? So here, what are these A and B means? A stands for this length. Okay, so can we call it as the radius? No, we cannot call it as the radius, because radius will call it only for circle. Okay, So this length, it represents B. Okay, so coming to this two lengths here, A and B. Now how are they related? Means it's easy. See, here you have a longer line, correct? So this line, correct, that pink color line, whatever you are seeing here, that will call it as the major axis of the ellipse. This is defined for ellipse. Okay, this is called as the major axis. Now whatever we have here, right, so the line of shorter length, okay, so that will call it as the minor axis. Okay, minor axis. So A will call it, it looks like half of the pink line, right? So A will call it as the semi major axis. Please take down in your notes. Okay, now if you don't know, if you know, then no problem. So B will call it as the semi minor axis. Okay, semi minor axis. The length of the A is half of the length of the major axis, that is semi major axis. Now B is half of the length of minor axis. Okay, that is semi minor axis, we'll say. Okay, fine. So the center or the geometrical center of the ellipse is the origin for this particular form. Okay, so this is the equation of the ellipse, you need to remember. All right, fine. Okay, next let us look into the equations. Y is equal to e power x and y is equal to e power minus x. Okay, right. So usually we'll call it as exponential growth. Okay, exponential growth, and this will call it as the exponential decay. Okay, exponential decay. Now why they are called like that? Now let's try to understand here. See, I have y is equal to e power x. This graph, it represents y is equal to e power x, right? Now as x increases, right? So when as you can see from the graph here, as x is increasing, so the value of y, it keeps on increasing. That is the rate of change of x. Now you know dy by dx, correct? So dy by dx at any point, right? So dy by dx wherever you take, so it will be equal to e power x only, right? So that is the speciality of this e power x. Okay, now this is exponential growth, we'll say. Now exponential decay, right? Exponential decay, it looks something like this. Okay, so sorry, this must be e power minus x. I'm so sorry. So this is e power minus x. Okay, so e power minus x, it looks this way. Okay, so yeah, so e power minus x, it looks this way. Now we are not taking the value which is to the left side. Okay, so if you look at this, usually, so why we are learning about these many graphs and their standard relations is that you will encounter these type of equations when you study physics throughout your 11th and 12th standard. Okay, so we'll just focus in the first quadrant. Okay, if you focus on the first quadrant, this is what you'll get. Okay, now just draw a sketch here. So the exponential growth, it looks like this. Okay, it looks like this. Now e power 0 is 1, right? So therefore I'm writing 1 x y. Now this is 0, so this starts at 1, it goes like this. So this tells you that it is e power x. Okay, this tells you that it is y is equal to e power x. Now exponential decay, right? Exponential decay, you can say x and y. Okay, right. Now exponential decay, it starts like this. Okay, it starts like this. Now again, x is equal to 0. If you substitute, you'll get this as 1. Okay, you'll get this as 1. So you can check, you can see here also. See, it is x is equal to 1. Fine. Okay, so just draw this much portion. Just draw the portion of the graph which is in the first quadrant. Okay, right. Now you will get to know how it helps you. Fine. Please maintain detailed notes of this. Okay, so it will be easy. Now coming to that last one, hyperbola. So it is quite rare. We don't get to use this. We don't get to see this hyperbola. Okay, at least in your 11th and 12th physics. Okay, so hyperbola. Okay, so this is the name given to that special curve. Okay, so it looks something like this. So x minus x, y minus y. Okay, so it will open up this way. Okay, it will open up towards positive x-axis as well as negative x-axis. Now I can show you in the same ellipse graph here. See, I have chosen b is equal to 3, a is equal to 9, right? So this one, ellipse curve. Okay, right? Now here if I make b negative, okay, so its form, right, the form of the equation of hyperbola, it will be like this: x square by a square, instead of plus, if it is plus, if it is for ellipse, if it is minus, it will be for this, okay, x square by a square minus y square by b square is equal to 1, will say, okay. Right, now here we can actually change the, sorry, here I had taken b, okay, so a small correction here. Everything is right, whatever you have written is right, so this is actually b square. Yeah, now this is right, okay. So this is how the equation of ellipse looks like. Here I had typed only a and b in the denominator, not a problem. You have written properly a square, okay, fine. Now even if I vary, right, now let me take minus of b square, okay, instead of plus, now I'm typing minus, okay. So this is how your hyperbola looks like, okay. So this is the shape of hyperbola, okay. This curve, you have this curve on both the sides. It feels like it is opening up on both sides of your x-axis, okay, fine. So this is how this hyperbola looks like. Now this is the equation of hyperbola, okay. So fine, so these are the standard functions and their graphs, okay. You need to remember them, fine, you need to remember them, okay. Right, now let us continue. Okay, the next topic what we'll say is small angle approximation. This is really important, please take it down in your notes. Now what we will see here is that if theta, right, if theta is less than 5 degrees, okay, if theta is less than 5 degrees, or you can say up to 5 degrees, less than or equal to 5 degrees, you can say that sine theta is approximately equal to theta, first one. Now second one, tan theta will approximately be equal to theta, okay. Then finally third one, you can say cos theta will be approximately equal to 1, okay. Now what this means, let us try to understand. See, here I have drawn two lines, right. Now the angle, see, angle between the lines, as you can see from the scale, it is exactly around 5 degrees, okay. Now what we'll do is we'll do a small experiment here. Now I would like to, if you, it would be better if you learn on your own, all right. Now see this yellow line, okay, I hope you can see this yellow line. Now the angle here is actually 5 degrees, okay, 5 degrees I have taken, right. Now if you consider this as a right angle triangle, okay, now just try to get sine 5 degrees, okay, sine 5 degrees, okay, and tan 5 degrees, fine. So tan 5 degrees and cos 5 degrees, okay, cos 5 degrees, fine. Now you can use your calculator. Now I would like to show here, one sec. Okay, now I have this calculator here. See, I have set the input to degrees. You can set it to degrees, radians and gradients also. I have set it to degrees. Now see, sine phi, I am getting it as 0.08, okay. I'll write down the values here. So see that you will, yeah, this is 0.08. Now tan phi, okay. Now let us do it again. See, I have 5, then trigonometry, tan. See, this is also I'm getting 0.087, right. Now what was the big difference here? See, if you look at the history, so sine phi, right, so sine phi, it is 0.087, 8715. See the difference, 0.08748, okay. So not a much of difference, right. So up to 3 decimal places, okay, there isn't any drastic change, right. So up to 3 decimal places you are getting 0.087, okay. Now cos phi, okay, now let us check that also, fine. So yeah, so clear, then 5 degrees, cos of 5 degrees. So cos of 5 degrees, how much we are getting? 0.99, yeah, 0.996, okay. See, that is why you can take it approximately equal to yeah, this you can take it approximately equal to 1, but you cannot say it as approximately equal to 0. It is approximately equal to 0.1, is it not? Fine. Now let us not write 0.1. Now what I wanted to tell you is that, see here we have written sine theta will be approximately equal to theta, tan theta will be approximately equal to theta. Now one thing what you need to remember here is that this theta, right, the theta whatever we have taken here, it must be in radians. Okay, it must be in radians. Okay, even I could have given the same value in radians only, but converting 5 degrees to radians, it requires a bit of time, so that's why I did not do. Now why they must be in radians means it's very simple. Since since units and dimensions have been completed, now how do you write sine theta, how do you define sine theta, cos theta and tan theta? Means it is the ratio of any two lengths, right? So for example, sine theta is opposite by hypotenuse, right? Cos theta is adjacent divided by hypotenuse, like that, correct? Not so cos theta and sine theta, so they are basically unitless and dimensionless quantities, correct? Fine. Now theta, it has a unit, the standard unit is radians, however its dimensions, right? So dimensions of theta, okay, dimensions of theta, right? So dimensions of theta is nothing, okay, it doesn't have any dimension, right? So theta is dimensionless, we'll say, correct, because it's a ratio of two lengths, correct? Theta is dimensionless, it has a unit radian, no problem, fine. Now how you can prove this here, sine 5 degrees, tan 5 degrees, how they are equal means it's easy. Now take a scale, okay, draw two lines, okay. Now you can take the length to be, say the length is of 10 centimeter, 5 centimeter, 20 centimeter, whatever you feel like, okay. So let this be 10 centimeter, okay. Now since it is a right angle triangle, right, see if this is 10 centimeter, it will be slightly greater than 10 centimeter, okay, slightly greater than 10 centimeter, okay. Now what you can do is these two lengths, right, so these two lengths you can actually approximate, right. Now what I want you to do is just approximately take both the lengths as 10 centimeter. You are constructing a right angle triangle, no doubt about it. Here we are trying to approximate things, okay, that is all, fine. Now measure this yellow length, okay, measure this yellow length. If you do this, you will get clarity, fine. So measure this yellow length, you will get some value, let us say it as x. You have to find out, just don't write x in your notes and keep it that way, fine. Now use this relation, what is that? Arc length, okay, arc length is equal to, now let me write here, so you can say arc length is equal to radius times theta. Now this 10 centimeter, it looks like theta. Now this x, this yellow color line, whatever I have drawn here, it looks like a part of a circle, okay. You have to imagine it as a part of a circle, fine, right. So only then here radius, right, it is 10 centimeters, okay, radius is 10 centimeter, okay. Now it has to be in SI units, so take it as 0.1 meter, okay. Now let me take it as 0.1 meter, fine. So this is 0.1 meter. Now S, right, so S value, whatever you measure from your scale, so put it here, so that is x, okay. Then find out theta, okay. So theta, see here you will get some value, for example say you will get some 1 centimeter, then you have to put 0.01 like that, okay. 0.01 will be the 0.01 will be the value of x. I'm just saying, right. Now drawing the lines, but the angle you must make sure that it should be 5 degrees, okay, right. Now if you do this, I'm saying we are not considering the exact measurements here, as I told you, the upper one, right. So this one, it is actually the hypotenuse, correct. So this one is the hypotenuse. I have told you that it is greater than 10 centimeters. See, the green one is the hypotenuse of this right angle triangle, correct. So what are the angles? 5, 90 and 85. So those are the angles, is it not? But I told you to approximate the length of that green line to be 10 centimeter, okay. So that you'll be able to use this formula, S is equal to r theta, okay. Now few of you may ask, how can I use this S is equal to r theta? Means it's easy. Say take this long circle, okay. Now if you zoom in, okay, and if you take the small chunk, how do you think this looks like? This looks like a straight line, right? The small chunk, it looks like a small piece, it looks like a straight line, is it not? So therefore you can approximately use this formula, fine. Now if you find out theta from this, okay, if you find theta, you will actually see that it will be approximately close to 0.087, okay, 0.087. If your measurement and if your pencil is sharp and if you mark exact 5 degrees, you'll find that this theta will be exactly equal to 0.087. You need to remember one thing, sine theta and theta, so both of them are dimensionless. That is why you can equate them. Okay, you can equate them. Fine, right? Only at angles less than or equal to 5 degrees. Okay, fine. Okay, the next topic what we are going to say is important trigonometric formula. Okay, fine. So you are expected to remember these formulas. Anyway, you will be studying this in your mathematics, okay, in detail. Fine. If you are not studying also, you need to remember, especially few group of students who have not taken mathematics. Okay, now I'll just let us try to verify one of this. I'll just verify this one of the formulas. Now the rest you can try on your own. All right, now here sine of a plus b, here a plus b you must take it as the argument here. That must be taken as input. Fine. Now what it means, let us try to understand. Now it will help you. So it will help you in finding out the values of sine 75, then sine 15 degrees, like that. Okay, so let us take one example. Now the rest you can try. Fine. Now I'll take sine of a plus b. So sine of a plus b, as it is mentioned there, you can write it as sine a cos b plus cos a sine b. Okay, fine. So sine a cos b plus cos a sine b. Fine. Now let us say a is 30 degrees and b is 60 degrees. Okay, now sine of 30 plus 60. Okay, now you know sine of 30 plus 60 is sine 90, that is 1. LHS value, this value is already 1. Now let us see if we get RHS as 1. Okay, fine. Now sine a, right? Now sine 30 to cos 60 plus cos 30 into sine 60. Okay, cos 30 degrees into sine 60 degrees. Okay, now sine 30, it is half. Now cos 60 is also half, plus cos 30, it is root 3 by 2. Now sine 60 is root 3 by 2 again. Okay, so what are we getting? Here we are getting 1 by 4 plus root 3 into root 3 is 3, 2 into 2 is 4. Okay, see, we get it as 4 by 4, which is equal to 1. So sine 90, you already know that it is equal to 1. Fine. Now you can take these problems as homework. Now sine 75 degrees, so that you can write it as sine 30 plus 45. Okay, now sine 15 degrees, you can write it as sine 45 degrees minus 30 degrees. Okay, now the same thing you can do for cos also here. Okay, see, for cos also we have the relations. Okay, cos, tan. Okay, then sine 2a, so this will be using. Now this is easy. What happens if a and b are same? Okay, it is like this. Sine 2a I'll do, cos 2a you just try to understand. Right? Now if a is equal to b, okay, if a is equal to b, sine of a plus b, we'll write it as sine a cos b plus cos a sine b. Okay, so sine a plus a, so that will be sine a cos a plus cos a sine a. Correct? Now what is sine of a plus a? Sine 2a, that will be equal to, now sine a cos a, right? So this will be 2 sine a cos a. Okay, 2 sine a cos a. Fine. Now on the same grounds, you try to evaluate for cos of 2a, that you must take it as cos of a plus a. Okay, a plus a, by putting this in this relation. Okay, so you have cos of a plus b, right? So there you have to put. Fine. Now try to find out these, try to verify these results by taking your own examples. For example, you can take the angle a, here a b, right? So capital A, capital B, they are angles simply. Fine. You can substitute whatever angle you want and try to verify. Okay, right. Now let us go to the next topic. Here, yeah, let us try to understand what is the average value of a continuous function in an interval. Okay, so say this is x axis and y axis. Now this is a function of x. Okay, now I'll choose an interval a to b. Okay, so a to b. Fine. Now here average value, right? So average value of the function over the interval a and b, right? So it will be defined as average value over the interval a and b, okay, over the interval a and b. Right, so over the interval a to b, let us say, okay, over the interval a to b, it can be given as integration of y dx, that is, you can say here y is equal to f of x, let us say, okay, so that will be equal to f of x dx between the limits a to b, okay. Now the whole thing, right, now the whole thing divided by integration of dx between a to b, okay. So finally you'll end up getting integration of f of x dx between the limits a to b. Now the whole thing, integration of dx, it will be x itself, then upper limit minus lower limit, okay. So this is how we get the average value of a function over the interval a to b, fine, over the interval a to b, right. Now apart from this, let us look into a few miscellaneous concepts. Now here you have something called as binomial approximation, okay, binomial approximation. Please pause the video wherever you feel like and take down this, okay. So if you blindly listen, it is not going to help, fine. Now 1 plus x whole power n, let us say, okay. Now here you have seen a plus b whole square, a plus b whole cube, right. Now we know the formula for this. Now what if the power is like 5 or 10 or 20? Now you have a theorem for that. You call it as binomial theorem. You will learn about it in mathematics, but here we won't be using the complete binomial theorem. We'll just use an approximation, right. If 1 plus, you have to evaluate, you will encounter situations where you have to evaluate an expression which looks like this, okay. And here we have to evaluate this 1 plus x whole power n, and if x is much less than 1, okay, and if x is much less than 1, for example, you can say x is 0.01, 0.001, like that, okay. In such cases, if x is much less than 1, then this 1 plus x whole power n, it can be approximately written as 1 plus nx, okay, 1 plus nx, fine. Now let us take an example for this. You are supposed to find out square root of 0.99, let us say, okay. Now what can I write this? I can write this 0.99 as 1 minus 0.01 the whole root, correct. Now 1 minus 0.01 whole power 1 by 2 I'll write, okay. See here, if you compare x with 1, okay, if you compare x with 1, so it is quite less than 1, right. So what you can do is, by looking at this expression, you can write 1 plus of, okay, now n is half, okay, then this is minus of 0.001, okay, minus of 0.001. Okay, so finally we are getting it as 1 minus 0.01 divided by 2, so that would be 1 minus 0.005, okay. So you are getting this as 0.995, okay. So you can say square root of 0.99, okay, it is approximately equal to 0.995, okay. So let us try to see 0.99 square root. See, it is close to 0.9949 we got, okay. So up to, yeah, it's approximately, you can write 9949 as 0.995, is it not? See, this is where you can use your binomial approximation, fine. So remember this, if x is much less than 1, you can write this way, 1 plus x whole power n is approximately equal to 1 plus nx. Here we will be getting few other terms here, okay. We will be getting few other terms, but we will ignore them, okay. Again, as I wrote here, the symbol tells you approximately equal to, okay, approximately equal, okay, approximated to, fine. Right, now the last one, okay. So what else we need in your physics is that you need to remember surface areas, okay, surface area, then volumes of 3D shapes, okay, surface area, volume, and even your two-dimensional shapes like square, correct, square, then regular polygons, fine. So then rectangles, okay, then what else? Circle, ellipse. Okay, yeah, I forgot to tell you the area of ellipse, so just take it as a note. Area of ellipse, it is given as pi AB. Now you know A and B. A is actually semi-major axis. Okay, semi-major axis, length of the semi-major axis. Now this is semi-minor axis, half of the length of the minor axis. That's all. Okay, so if you want, this is the ellipse. Okay, now this yellow line, we'll call it as the major axis. Its length is usually denoted by 2a. Okay, now this blue line, it is called as minor axis, so its length is denoted by 2b. So half of it will be a and b, right? So just like we have pi r square for circle. Okay, don't apply the same formula for ellipse here. If you look dimensionally, see, meter and constant. Pi is constant, right? So constant into meter. So dimensionally it is giving you square itself, meter square itself. Okay, so pi AB, it is the area of the ellipse, right? Now apart from that, cone, cylinder, surface areas, volumes. Okay, so and your coming to your progressions, right? Arithmetic progression, then geometric progression, right? Now if some of you might have studied harmonic progression also, right? Now these things are also important. Fine. Okay, so just brush up them. Fine, brush up them. So this is all you need for that is the mathematical background required for understanding physics in your 11th and 12th standard. Okay.